Hello, I'm here to talk about Pluto and the Venus gate and Haumea today. And I brought my rose oil because I'm feeling a lot of heart chakra energy and also the need to stay centered in the heart. And this oil reminds me of Venus and the divine feminine. I like to roll it on my heart, my arms, my wrists, my neck. It's a very high vibrational oil. I believe it has the highest frequency of all the essential oils. Okay, so now I want to talk about Pluto. So Pluto is making his ingress into Aquarius, and it feels like no mistake that we just had the Aries new moon and the spring equinox right around the same time. And when I was thinking about this, I got a vision of a meadow set on fire. Like, in the plains, sometimes there'll be a lightning storm that will come and just set a prairie ablaze. And that lightning is Uranus. It's the Aquarian energy. And when this happens, there's a lot of seeds that lie dormant in the soil. And some of those seeds are destroyed. And some of those seeds actually need to be activated and touched by fire to germinate. So those seeds are the ones that are some of the most rare and beautiful wildflowers. And it feels like those seeds are being activated. So to me, that's really exciting. I feel like a lot of us, if you're watching this, hold those seeds. The ability to be able to stand in the fire and to hold this really sort of rugged, authentic knowledge, ancient knowledge as well. And Pluto is coming through Aquarius and giving us the opportunity to either stand in our authentic self or just kind of stick with the status quo. And because it can be really scary to be your authentic self when things have been a certain way for so long, So what this will do will create a little bit of tension, which is actually not a terrible thing. It'll create this tension that will allow us to take our time making these changes, to try to have these revolutionary ideas tested and make sure that they're well thought out, because just forging ahead with no resistance can get out of hand as well. So there's no doubt that this will be a revolutionary time, and we'll see a lot of battles between the old way of thinking and the new ways of thinking. And I really even feel funny saying old and new because it really feels timeless. These are just the same battle of duality that has been happening for, since we've been in physical bodies. And the purpose of it is just to keep experiencing something new and keep creating something new. Pluto is our soul. So Pluto moving into Aquarius is really also about this spiritual awakening. And it feels like it can be, there can be a lot of revelations happening for people. And it really feels like the invitation here is to really get in touch with our soul and get in touch with how can we progress as a society that realizes that everything is connected, that we're all connected. This is really coming back to leaning into natural law. And of course, the shadow of Aquarius can be leaning too much into technology. And yeah, we're all connected with this technology, but we have to remember the heart space, the opposite pole of Aquarius, Leo, ruled by the heart. So the Sabian symbol for the first degree of Aquarius is an old adobe mission, building survival structures within our group, both physical and institutional, provides a measure of stability. And this just made me think about how I don't think there's much unclaimed territory in this world anymore. And now that there's been all of this like conquering and fighting and war, which we still have going on, it's really like, okay, we all have our places we live. Now, how do we get along? And it's about standing strong, standing in your own rights, standing up for human rights. And there's still people who are not aware what their rights are. And everybody has different ideas probably of what their rights are, and what is right. And so it's where we have to lean into the heart again, This is like the most stable place that we can be. The present moment, and that's where we find truth. It's the mind that argues, the most, and Uranus is the higher mind, and the ruler of Aquarius. He can come and, like, if we're not in our heart, he can come and pull the rug out from under us. And this is like those wake-up calls that we need sometimes to see what is not aligned, what is not sustainable. And it's like not necessarily a terrible thing, because it's all leading us to a better place if we use that opportunity. So he's coming through, Pluto's coming through and sort of revealing all of these shadows of Aquarius for us. Like, we have free will, we have the option to be confronted with those or allow ourselves to see them and transform them, or we can ignore them. And so we'll be seeing both of these. But some people, have been aware of all these changes coming and are ready. Like, they've got their Adobe mission. They've got their ideas of how do I want to go through these changes. None of us know exactly what it looks like, but we can find our friends that we relate to. We can make sure that we are just aligned with where we're supposed to be and that we have what we need. So this isn't, I don't want this to sound like fearful or anything. It's just like, I think those pillars are important in general in our life, and this is giving us an opportunity to really tune into that. And I think that's kind of awesome. So tomorrow we have a Venus gate, and a Venus gate is when Venus and the moon conjunct, and it's going to be an evening star Venus gate, which is when Venus is returning from the underworld and she's gaining what she gave up to go into the underworld. She's gaining it back. And this Venus gate is in the heart chakra. So it's a powerful time to manifest. You can really go into the heart, meditate on what intentions you've set, and really just kind of further anchor into those. It can, if you don't feel like you have a clear idea of what you want to manifest, it can be a really good day to meditate and really go into the heart and get some clarity. And with Pluto, it's a really nice time to see, like, okay, how do I want to navigate these transformations and these changes? It's really a great time to reflect on your self-care, your self-love, and are you really fueling your tank? And are you giving from a full cup? Are you finding balance in how you're being of service and how you're taking care of yourself? And something else that this brought me back to, or led me back to, was the Venus star point that we experienced in October. That happened in Libra. It hasn't happened since the 1700s. So around the same time as like the establishment of America. And this Venus conjuncted Haumea at this time. Haumea is a Kuiper Belt object who is another goddess, and she actually births children from her limbs. She's like an earth goddess who is incredibly regenerative. And I just feel like we have so much regenerative, transformational power right now to work with. And if we can really go into the heart and transform from that space, it just feels like just feels like such an exciting time, you know? So this is also about surrendering some of these intentions to the divine and really trusting, because nature is inherently abundant, and this goddess uses the powers of nature to just regenerate. I mean, you look at like Fukushima, or like you look at areas that have been affected by nuclear explosions, and then after that, nature just, after those areas are abandoned, nature just takes over. It's like, it's that kind of energy, like unstoppable, feminine, transformational energy. Excuse me. So, another aspect of this is knowing that we can create, surrender, and it doesn't have to be hard. So I feel like that's sort of what's dying with this Pluto and Capricorn era, which we will revisit. We'll revisit again after a few months. But this is giving us a preview of how we can really become embodied and live life from the heart, and how we can really benefit from living life in alignment with natural law in that way. So the Sabian symbol for this Venus gate tomorrow is a Red Cross nurse, even to the level of compassionate service. And I just had to write what was written here, I believe by Dane Rudyard. The raising of love from the personal level to the level of sacredness and service. We are able to take our powerful faith into service of humanity to help others make the journey themselves from darkness into light. Personal love can be raised to a higher level as we radiate our light, not just to close loved ones, but to all and everyone. And so it's really, again, about leaning into that Aquarian authentic self and shining your light, because a lot of us have been through really dark things, and whenever someone's been through something really dark, it's helpful for them to hear the stories of other people and how they got through it. And so one of the ways you get through really dark times is radical self-love. It's really choosing yourself and listening to yourself and trusting what you need. And this is when the heart's guidance really kicks in. And I also wanted to say, like, Haumea was conjunct that Venus star point at 29 degrees Libra. She's going to be hovering. She has a really slow transit. She's going to be hovering between 29 Libra, the last degree, the anaretic degree, and the first degree of Scorpio, or 0 Scorpio. And the symbol for Haumea at 29 Libra is 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head, and using this knowledge as a platform to develop further understanding. So 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. I immediately think of like all of the holy trinities that there are. Mind, body, spirit, sun, moon, earth, mother, father, child, whatever else, you name it. And this is the returning of ancient wisdom, and knowing and trusting our life experience. And so this is what Haumea has been regenerating. And this is what is coming back to us so easily and from these divine unseen realms. It's so supportive. And then she moves into Scorpio, which is about transformation and going to the depths. And Scorpio 1 is a sightseeing bus. We move away from our beloved, secure past, motivated by curiosity for a greater experience. So I just love it because it's so supportive of this energy of moving out of Capricornian structures, old power, outdated power structures, and into a more revolutionary, innovative time. And I wanted to pull a few cards, because the cards always just like give me another message or another way to look at things. Sometimes they just reiterate what I said, but I'm going to pull from my rose deck because we're talking about Venus a lot here, leaning into that rose energy. The rose thread, inner call, soul-led, the mystic, living courageously. And I actually pulled 2 by accident. I'll show you that one. Soul-led innovation is what I'm feeling. Trust the seasons, embracing change, cycles of life, transition, and growth. And look at that. It's like, I love how there's like 3 of her. It reminds me of the triple goddess. It reminds me of the timelessness, the past, present, and future. It reminds me of that Joseph Campbell clip I posted about the mask of God, how from a higher level we see the purpose of duality, and we can also find sort of like a middle path, which is the heart center. And I'm going to pull an Atlantis card. I can't get enough of this Atlantis deck. I don't know why Aquarius just makes me think of Atlantis so much. If you guys, maybe it's the technology, the high technology and the higher mind. If you guys have any connections with Atlantis and Aquarius, I would love to know if that like connects in your brain as well. Ooh, shadow, spark the dark. 36, which comes to 9. That's the end of a cycle. Ooh, and there's the mask. The mask again. Spark the dark. I want to read what this one says. I opened right to it. Shadow emulates darkness, and darkness emulates the shadow. Not all shadows are evil, yet many of us have been brought up to believe this. It's time to consider the shadows in your own life. Just as Atlantis was confronted in the end days to see the darkness within their own community, are you willing to see into the dark? Okay, this reminds me. I think this is why I have this Aquarian Atlantean connection, because one of the reasons Atlantis fell was because of their misuse of technology. And that is a lesson that is returning for us to learn again. And when I think of this, I think of, a misuse of technology would be combining with technology, like putting a chip in your brain, overriding the soul, storing consciousness in a chip. Like you're violating the flow of God and the flow of natural law. And in Atlantis, they were abusing their technology to genetically modify people, combine humans and animals. And so it's really like we've been here before, and it's time for us to learn that that is not for our benefit long term. And I'm feeling Saturn's energy now as well. Like and again, it's this timelessness. Like Saturn thinks about how will this affect 7 generations ahead. And I said this before, and someone commented and said, and how will it affect 7 generations behind? Which I hadn't really thought about. But it's these kinds of things that we need to take into consideration before we become laboratory experiments, and just, volunteer to become, I guess that's your choice, but I feel like when it's violating the perfection of the human form and the way that nature has created us, it's like we're missing what we are already given. We're missing that nature has everything that we need, and that this earth is like the environment that is our gift to work with. And a lot of these technological advances just have completely forgotten about the earth. They've completely forgotten about the feminine impulse, and it's an overly masculine kind of shadow masculine impulse. So anyway, woo! That brought some shadow out, didn't it? And the other thing I like that card says is that the shadow is not always negative. There is great power in our darkness. And we each need to discover the darkness in the feminine and the masculine. You choose whether you express that darkness negatively or positively. So we're often taught just like light or dark, good or bad, but it's more nuanced than that. And I wanted to pull a goddess card too. And that will probably be my last one for the day. This has been, ooh, that got intense. That's Pluto. That's Pluto for you. Pluto. All right. Morgan Le Fay, rhythms. Again, we see the triple. We see the Triskelion on her shield. We see the maiden, mother, and crone. I'm going to read about what she's telling us. Morgan Le Fay. There she is. When I dance with life, I dance my own rhythm. I keep my own time. My soul's tides are aligned and flow. With my beat, my own unique expression. By honoring myself, I honor all. When you dance with life, that's your rhythm. Is it quick or slow, lively or liturgical, repetitious or ever-changing? Do you let the tempo serve you or unnerve you? Soothe you or seethe you? Meddle you or unsettle you? Do you know? So again, it's about coming into the heart, coming into the authentic self, and really getting clear with what you need. And when we all honor our needs, we show others that they're worthy of honoring theirs as well. And this says that Morgan Le Fay is a Celtic triple goddess of death and rebirth, appearing as a beautiful young maiden, a powerful mother creator, or a death-giving hag. She was also a sea goddess, for her name Mor in Celtic means sea. This relates to Mary as well. Her last name has two meanings, the fairy and the fate. In Arthurian legends, she was half-sister to Arthur. It is said she manipulated Morgan, and Arthur's son by getting him to kill his father. As Arthur dies, Morgan Le Fay comes to his aid by spiriting him to the magical island of Avalon, where she heals him, then casts him into a deep sleep from which he will awaken when the time is ripe. And I really have been feeling the divine feminine awakening, and hopefully with this Pluto ingress into Aquarius, we see more divine masculine awakening as well. That's just what came through for me with that card. And of course, the death and rebirth. There's the Pluto energy as well. So yeah, I guess the strong message of this reading is to stay in the heart, listen to you, don't get lost in the sauce or the chaos, and to just keep innovating and keep shining your light. And yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'm sending you tons of love.